Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Cameron from Tinybird. Very, very big week for us. It is launch week at Tinybird, and Monday is already off to a big bang. We launched today tinybird.ai and a bunch of AI features for AI native developers to build analytics agents. And so today, I'm going to show you how to build your own analytics agent using the Tinybird MCP server and using the Birdwatcher agent template that we have built. Now I'm going to walk through all the code, but you're here to learn how to build an agent. So we're actually going to do the demo first. I'm going to just jump right into it. And then towards the end, we'll actually talk about like how this is working under the hood, answer any questions you might have, talk about the Tinybird MCP server and things like that. So without further ado, I'm going to add my screen here. And let's jump into this. I'm going to make this a little bigger. So what am I showing? This is the Birdwatcher Tinybird template. If you want to go check it out, you can click this link right here, or go to this URL. What is Birdwatcher? Birdwatcher is an analytics agent that uses the Tinybird MCP server to allow you and your agents to have natural language conversations with the data in your Tinybird workspace. I'll talk a little bit more about the Tinybird MCP server in a bit, but we're just going to jump right in. So what Birdwatcher does, you can basically pull this code down. You can run it in a CLI. You can schedule this work in a cron job. I'm going to show you how to do it in a GitHub action in a bit. You can even run it as a Slack app. We actually have a Slack app that you can add to your workspace, put in your credentials, and I'll show you how that works in a bit. But first thing we do is just go and fork this code. I have already forked it into my own repository. I've got it right here. And so let's jump into Cursor and start building. So the important file here is this birdwatcher.py. This is essentially the agent file. I'll go through it in more detail in a bit. And then I also just want to talk about this .env file. I have all of my secrets loaded into my environment. I'm not going to show you that, but just kind of show you what's required here. So when you connect to the Tinybird MCP server, you provide a Tinybird token and host. This is very similar to the way you authenticate to a Tinybird workspace. And this connects your agents to that workspace and gives them the tools available in the Tinybird MCP server. We can also provide the model that we want to use for our agent here. We've got the API keys for Google if you're using Gemini, Anthropic, OpenAPI or OpenAI. And then we have some other things here too. For example, a resend API key and a Slack token. So I'll show you like how you can teach your agent basically to send you an email or send you a Slack notification with its findings. We'll go through that here in a second. And then some other things that I'm not going to cover for now. Look, if you're watching this, chances are you know how to read a code repository, or you can ask Cursor to do it for you. So we'll jump into this later, but let's go ahead and start building. So as I mentioned, I've got this forked. I'm gonna let's see. I'm gonna hide my face and drop this banner so y'all can see a little more. And I'm gonna zoom in a bit, make this hopefully a little easier for you to see. Maybe that's a bit much. And let's open to this birdwatcher.py. I'll explain in a bit, but just out of the box, let's go ahead and run birdwatcher.py. And this will just show you kind of the CLI interface. Now, I've already authenticated it. Like I said, I've added environment variables. So I've already authenticated to a workspace. This workspace contains like some demo sort of related e-commerce data. So just understand that context. It's like I'm talking to data that's being generated from an e-commerce store, has things like page views, product views, checkouts, adds to carts, all those kind of events from an e-commerce store. So Birdwatcher is running in the CLI. I could ask a question like, what are my sales over the last 7 days? And Birdwatcher is going to run, it's going to start thinking, and it's going to start calling these MCP tools. So you can see that it's calling this Tinybird MCP server tool explore data, and it's passing a prompt, sales over the last 7 days. So this is my agent, Birdwatcher, kind of taking my workspace, connecting to the MCP server, passing this prompt to this explore data tool. Now, explore data tool is almost like a server-side agent on its own. So it's going to go run in the background, run some queries over my data. It has all the context for what is in my Tinybird workspace. And so it's running some queries, and it's going to hopefully relatively soon provide an answer. One of the things you may see on this demo, as with all things AI, very non-deterministic. LLMs do different things every time. Makes demos a little challenging, but I think we'll be okay. We have sort of backup plans if necessary. But so you can see this Explore data tool is running in the background, and we should get a response here pretty quickly, maybe soon. It's coming. Um, but yeah, so one of the things about Birdwatcher, I may have mentioned this. I'm running in the CLI. We have this nice CLI interface. We can install it as a Slack app. I'll show you that in a little bit. And then I'm also going to show you how we can run this on like a schedule using cron job. And in my case, I'm going to use GitHub Actions for that because it's easy to implement. And we have a nice example for how to use GitHub Actions in the template. Okay, so here we go. We got a response, and well, that's that is an interesting response. We got data from 2024. Again, goes to show LLMs are not always the best at formulating these kinds of things. So how about in June 2025? So this is nice. We can have this conversational interaction with the agent. So in this case, the agent didn't do great. Let's go up to interesting. Like I said, never works in the demo. Um, yeah, so that didn't work, but not because of any issue on my end. It's just the LLM, I guess, interpreted my response incorrectly. Let's try that again, and just see if we can get a better response. And actually, I'll show you a different. Instead of running it in this CLI mode, we can actually just send like a prompt to the agent, UV run, UV run, and let's just say get total sales in the last 24 hours. And then I'm going to also give it this mission. And I'm going to explain missions here in a second. And this mission is, I'm going to use the base mission. And while that is running, I'm going to talk about missions. So Birdwatcher is built on this idea of missions. And what you can do is you can define these markdown files, which are basically like instructional prompts for the agent. So you can think about Birdwatcher as having 3 layers of prompts. You have the system prompt, which is a general prompt for every agent that every Birdwatcher agent gets. And it's very generalized, basically says, hey, you're a data analyst, you're going to analyze TinyBird data. And then the mission is like the kind of the instructional prompt. It's telling the Birdwatcher agent, this is your job, this is what you need to go do. And then of course you have the user prompt. So in my case, the user prompt was, what were the total sales in the last 24 hours? And it's saying, hey, look, came back and I got this data. The total sales in the last 24 hours were approximately 5,000 USD. So you can see basically what happened there. We got, we sent it a prompt, we gave it a mission, and it went and executed on that, analyzed all the data, and then it came back and gave me a response. So that's great. So now let's do something a little more fun, which is let's use resend to run or send us an email. So what we're going to do is we're going to define a new mission. We're going to basically give Birdwatcher a mission to go analyze this e-commerce data and generate a summary for us, and then email that summary to us using resend tools. And so I'm going to kind of take this mission that I have here, and I'm not going to bore you by typing one out, but let's go into missions here and create a new file. Missions, where I want it. And we're going to call this e-commerce daily summary.md. And I'm just going to paste this mission in. So I'll briefly go over this. We have some general exploration instructions. We have the report generation instructions. This is what we're kind of telling it to do. We want it to analyze the last 24 hours, sales by source, comparative analysis, and then we say, hey, synthesize your findings and write an executive summary. And then we're giving it resend instructions. So, hey, this is how I want you to format, send me email. So this is the mission that we are giving Birdwatcher. I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then I can just run this again, and instead of having the prompt be, get total sales, I can just say, run your analysis and send it to Cameron Archer at tinybird.co, which is my email. And then I'm going to change this mission to e-commerce daily summary. And so it's going to use that mission and this prompt to fulfill my request. And so I'm going to go ahead and run that, and we'll see what happens. And while that is running, just a reminder that the way this is working, and actually, let's jump into the Birdwatcher Pi code while this is running. I mean, you can see again, it's calling the tools. It's got this prompt, and it's gonna work on that in the background. But let's jump in here. So, Birdwatcher uses Agno. This is an agent building framework for Python. It's really great. Highly recommend. And basically, what is happening is we are creating this Agno agent. So we're instantiating an LLM agent. We're giving it a system prompt that is in the prompts.py file. We're passing all of this stuff, a mission, the Tinybird information, Slack token, things like that. And then here you can see this is where we are actually basically giving the agent access to the Tinybird MCP server and the tools available there. So we are adding the tools from the Tinybird MCP server to this agent. In addition, see here, we're setting up our model creds, and then we're adding additional tools. We're saying add the Slack tools. These are native to Agno, which is great. Same with resend. If we have a resend API key, we'll add those tools as well. Those are some tools that Agno gives an agent to do things like send emails, things like that. And then there's some other things like Agno has this concept of like reasoning and memory, some things that you can enable if you'd like for your agent. We set the model. Mine, I think, is, I think I just use this default. I'm using Gemini in this case. And then we have, other options for fallback models. And then if we have a mission, we sort of add that to the instructions, and then we create that agent, return the agent. And then we have some functions to sort of run a single command. So for instance, if we do a single prompt in the CLI, or we run as a cron job, and then it just kind of in main is sort of like the main function is basically deciding how is this running? Is it running as a Slack app? Is it running in the CLI? Is it running in a cron job? And that just determines which functions to use to sort of instantiate that agent. Okay, so while I was explaining that, my agent went and did its work. So you can see, all of these things that it has generated. It actually gave me all of the HTML it put in the email, but it said, okay, I've generated a daily e-commerce report and I sent it to Cameron Archer. So I'm going to actually go into my email, and sure enough, here it is. This is the email that it sent. So this is really cool. So all I did was I said, agent, you have access to my Tinybird workspace. Go and generate a daily e-commerce performance report and send it to my email. And this is what it did. So at the very beginning, it added recommendations. So based on the data that it found, the agent actually recommended some things: increase ad spend on Facebook to capitalize on site conversion rate, yada, yada, yada. Compared the last 24 hours to a 7-day average, percent change. So I can see things have gone down a little bit, right, in the last 24 hours. Top selling products. It's showing me what, on this bird themed store, what are the top selling products, traffic sources, funnel performance, conversion rates, things like that. And it's even showing me like top customer searches. So this would be really interesting, right? If somebody wanted a specific bird, right? It shows you like people want pheasants and goshawks and things like that. That's it. We just created an agent that runs a 24-hour kind of summary just by accessing the data in my Tinybird workspace, analyzing that data, and then developing this summary. And that's Birdwatcher. All you have to do is define a mission. All the other sort of foundational code is there. Of course, it's open source. I've shared the link before. I'll share it at the end here. You can always go and clone it, make it your own, do what you want with it. But just as at a very basic level, all you have to do is sort of give it a mission, give it a prompt, and then tell it what you want it to do. And so the last thing that I will show is just, what if we want to sort of run this thing on a schedule? We can, I'm going to run it in GitHub Actions. So actually, if you go to the template, you'll see we have just some example, an example YAML file for a GitHub action. And you can copy this and paste it into your GitHub Actions. So I have already set this up, and actually I'll go into my settings here in my repository, and you can see I've set up all of these secrets, my action secrets. So my actions will use these secrets to sort of, run the same workflow that I was running just before. And I've already created this action. So let's open this up. Actually, let's go to the main, and let's go to the YAML file so you can see what it looks like. So I've just called this Birdwatcher e-commerce summary. I've set it to run at 9 a.m. UTC, and also allows manual triggering. And then of course it's got these things that I'm providing the secrets, and then it says calculate top 5 products by total sales in the last 7 days and send it to this Slack channel. And so actually let's look at this Slack channel, and you can see I've already set this up. I've already gotten some information from Birdwatcher. And in fact, let's talk real quick about how you would set this up if you wanted to install the Slack app. Once you add it to a channel, you just go to Birdwatcher config, you use that / command. It's going to open up a modal, and it's going to let you put in your token and host. So again, this is connecting the Tinybird MCP server that the agent is connected to. It's pointing it to a specific Tinybird workspace. I've already done that here. So I could just say, hey, Birdwatcher, what was my total sales in the last 24 hours? And Birdwatcher is going to go, it's going to reply in the thread. It's going to go think about that. It's also going to give you a nice little factoid about birds. Did you know that canary wren songs cascade down rock walls like echoes? So poetic. So while we're waiting on that, we'll go in here, and I'm going to go ahead and run this. So what you can see is it's running this prompt with the base mission using Claude model. So I was using Gemini before. We're going to use a Claude model this time. So let's just go to our actions, and let's run this workflow. And once it starts running, I'll click into it so you can kind of see what's happening. Let's actually see if, okay, so yeah, we did get a response, and here's Birdwatcher saying, okay, here's the information on your total sales in the last 24 hours. Great. So that's how it runs the Slack app. And now if we go into this CI run, this action run, you'll see kind of the same thing we saw in the CLI. The nice thing here is because it's in GitHub Actions, it's going to run every day at 9 o'clock UTC. And of course, this is doing a very specific prompt. One thing that's interesting, when I was testing this before, the agent took a little while. And of course, as with all things building agents, almost all of this is prompt engineering, right? The Birdwatcher template is very simple. Where you make your money is in how you prompt the agent. So same rules apply that otherwise apply to building agents. The quality of the response you get is based on the quality of the prompt you provide. So I've given a pretty generic prompt, and actually last time when I ran this, it took the agent a while. It used a lot of MCP tools. It had to do a lot of work to sort of figure that out, but it kept trying, and it eventually got there, and eventually sent me a message. So you can actually see it's running these tools. Now it's running that send message Slack tool. So actually we can go to Slack, and there you go. Top products by total sales the last 5 days. So this is exactly what I asked. Send it to Slack. And I should get this message every day at 9 a.m. UTC now that it is set up as a GitHub action. That's it. That is Birdwatcher. Of course, you can go and fork this, use it on your own. You actually don't even need to fork it. If you just want to install the Slack app, you can do that. And that will give you everything that you need to just start having conversations with your Tinybird workspace in Slack. You can do that right now. By the way, if you're a Tinybird customer, it's already in the workspace. And if you've been invited to the Tinybird workspace, it's already there. You can start chatting with it immediately. All you have to do is tag it in a DM or in a channel. But then, yeah, of course, if you would like, fork it, make it your own, run it wherever you want to run it, create your own missions. It's all the scaffolding is there. Really, all you need to do is just change the mission, change the prompt, and then of course you can also tinker with how you want to handle the outputs. So right now we are just notifying, right? We're just sending an email. We're using Slack, things like that. But the real exciting stuff here is when you start to get these multi-agent workflows. So, for example, let's say I had an agent that could connect to my, like Facebook ad campaigns or whatever. It mentioned in the summary, right? Like Facebook is we should spend more on Facebook because conversion rate's good. Well, if I had an agent that had access to that Facebook ad campaigns and could actually administrate those, maybe I send those findings from this agent to my Facebook agent and I say, hey, this is what I found from the analytics on the site. Here are the recommendations I would make to modify the Facebook campaigns. And then that Facebook agent says, okay, mission received, and it goes and actually optimizes the campaigns automatically. And that, I think, is where things get really exciting. And when we talk about sort of being data driven, right? Like in the past, that usually meant a lot of business intelligence, a lot of data analysts building dashboards that people no longer never really looked at. But now it's really about building agents that can analyze that data and direct action maybe to other agents or provide information automatically via these notification platforms. So that's it. Reminder, Tinybird launch week is right now. We're going to be launching more stuff through the rest of the week. Today was all about AI. So, in fact, if you want to go to tinybird.ai, that's kind of the new homepage for all things, all of our AI initiatives. So, Tinybird MCP server, the Birdwatcher agent, our explorations UI, which, if you haven't seen that, is kind of the UI version of what we just showed. That's now powered by the Tinybird MCP server. And there's much more to come here. If you're interested in using the Tinybird MCP server, whether that's to build your own agents or you just want to connect it to Cursor or Claude Desktop or Claude Code, go check out the docs, tbrd.co/MCP docs. We'll take you there. That has all you need. And then if you have questions, if you're working on this, you're trying to build analytics agents, you get stuck, you need support, you need to know kind of like what are the best ways to write prompts, things like that. Please join our Slack community and ask questions there. Go to tbrd.co/community. That will take you there and you can ask questions there. And we will happily answer them and sort of guide you in that direction. Stay tuned for more. We'll continue to share more about what we're launching, more AI kind of cookbooks, as we call them, throughout the week. So stay tuned. Thanks. Have a good one.